The two jazz coaches. After James had a successful run with the slip coaches, when Aubrey and Aiden heard this afterward, they were not very happy. "How could this be happening?" said Aubrey crossly. "I know," said Aiden. "Could James replace us?" "James won't replace us. He dislikes those slip coaches much more better." Just then they heard a whistle. "That's James, all right," said Aiden. "I can see him coming with those slip coaches." And they were right. "Here's James!" James arrived in Cloven's Gate's yard with the slip coaches. The first coach was being shown. Aubrey and Aiden were still jealous. "Hello, you two," said James. "I do believe it's your first time a close look up at the slip coaches." Aubrey and Aiden looked at the slip coaches. They thought they looked funny. And their face in the front of their coaches and back looked a little bit weird to them. "Well," said Aubrey, "they look alright." "That's good," said James, "cause I'm going point them tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" they said. "Yeah," said James, "cause the railway board must test them out first, and if they pass, then I get to take pastures on it. And if it does pass, I'd be taking pastures all day." "What about Ivor?" "Oh, he'd be busy with his jobs." "That means nobody would take us?" "I sure the Fat Controller will think of somebody." Just then the Fat Controller arrived. "Ah, James, I can see that the slip coaches are ready for tomorrow." "Yes, sir, and hopefully they can still walk on my 9. "Indeed they will." Aubrey and Aiden got even a little bit more jealous. "Now, Aubrey and Aiden, said James won't be pulling you tomorrow. Well, I have decided that Thomas must come pull you two for a day." "You mean for the rest of the day, sir?" "Yes. And he can probably do James's work until James comes back the next day." "What about Thomas's 9? asked Aiden. "Oh, don't worry, there's Percy, Toby, other engines on the line that can do his work, no bother." Aubrey and Aiden were still jealous of the slip coaches that James had, but they were happy that Thomas was going to take them, except it's been a while since Thomas took them since Australia. Next morning, the two coaches were ready. Aubrey watched as James backed down to the slip coaches and began coupling up. The two of them were still jealous. "Everyone could teach the slip coaches a lesson what we are like, without uncoupling." Just then everybody in Corman's Gate yard heard a whistle. It was Thomas puffing down the line. Thomas soon puffed into Corman's Gate's yard. "Hello, everybody," said Thomas. "Hello, Thomas," said James happily. "So, these are your slip coaches?" asked Thomas. "Yep, that's them, right? I'll treat them like Duck had." "Cool," said Thomas. "Hey, Aubrey and Aiden." "Hey, Thomas," they said. Aubrey and Aiden were glad that Thomas was going to take them out. No, they didn't want to go with James. They were glad they were not going with James. They were still angry at James. They thought James was replacing them. And for the slip coaches feel much better. This made them jealous. "Well," said James, "I should be off now." And James puffed away with the slip coaches. "Never mind, you two," said Thomas. "At least you got me for the day." Aubrey and Aiden were still jealous of James, like always, like I said. They were glad Thomas was taken out. Thomas would soon correct Aubrey and Aiden from Cloven's Gate yard as they puffed down on James's 9. Thomas did have to work with Ivor, of course, while Ivor was busy. As Thomas puffed into the first station on the Cloven's Gate branch line, Aubrey and Aiden were thinking of something. "Say, Aubrey," said Aiden, should what?" asked Aubrey. "Tell Thomas our problem?" "I don't know," said Aubrey. Maybe he would just tell us, maybe the slip coaches are better." Nonsense, said Aiden. Thomas always put us back in Australia when he visits. I'm sure we can trust him. You sure, said Aubrey? Believe me, Thomas has pulled us longer than James has. I'm sure he would trust us. Okay, said Aubrey. What's this you guys are talking about? Asked Thomas. Aubrey and Nathan told Thomas the whole story, even though leaving the station. So, what you trying to say you're jealous of the zip coaches that James has? Yep, they said. Thomas feels sorry for Aubrey and Nathan and what they're going through right now. Oh, I feel sorry for you too, said Thomas. Miss. I know James really likes the use of coach he has, but you must understand, guys, he did went through a history with duck slip coaches. So we heard, said Aubrey and Aiden. Like it was a few years ago, said Thomas. But I am sure one day James will stop boasting with slip coach and maybe he'll pull you two again. He'll just pull the slip coaches more. What's the point even having slip coaches if James has us? Said Aiden. I'm not sure, said Thomas. But James done very well of pulling them and from that day. Like the first day he pulled duck slip coaches, he didn't really do well. Aubrey and Aiden, and we're glad Thomas gave them advice. Like, I have two coaches of mine, Annie and Clarabelle, and they would probably, and I would never replace them. So what you're trying to say is James would never replace us with slip coaches? Of course not. I know James. Of course, sometimes James may like to show off his paint, but James did kind of a little bit change a lot. No, well, few changes, and I know that James would never replace you two. He would never do that. That to coaches like you. You two are fantastic. Really? Yeah, they said. Of course, said Thomas. James would never replace slip coaches with you two. You must understand that he does wants to give them a try. Besides, he probably need more coaches in case something bad happens. If any to you two, like say the slip coaches were backup coaches, or if we were backup coaches, exactly, said Thomas. Or maybe Ivor can pull you, but he's so little. I guess you have a point, but still, who knows what might be in store for the slip coaches and you guys. James would never replace you two. James would never do a thing like that. Now, Aubrey and Aiden feel a little bit better, but they were still a little bit jealous of the slip coaches though. As they arrived at the next station of the line, Thomas even told them some stories. Stories about replacement or jealous. Because Aubrey and Aiden really liked the stories. Thomas told them about the time about the bird watcher and he pulled the emergency cable on Annie. And me and Clara thought that she was going to get replaced. But we knew. But at the end, she did came back, of course. Wow, sounds a funny story, said Aubrey and Aiden. Of course, said Thomas. There's even older engines like Toby or Edward. They're old, but the factory will never replace them. Like one time, my friend Gordon thought that Neil was replacing Edward, and when Rebecca arrived, he thought the same thing with Henry. But Gordon knew at the end that Henry and Edward moved to those locations because they're probably much more needed there. You know what I mean, guys? That's what Gordon thought, but Gordon soon got over it, and he now likes Neil and Rebecca. The coaches just knew Thomas had another fair point on that. Yeah. Or even this one other time my coaches, when I delivered some workmen to build a used station, the factory told me they had to go to the works, and I had to take two red coaches, However, I thought they were going to get replaced, and I couldn't go over around Turley Bends. However, I understand that Onion Crabber, well, maybe need some fuel repairs like overhaul or something. But I soon got them back in the end when I saved a nasty accident at the U station. I even took them to the grand opening event. Aubrey and Aiden, they were interested in some of the stories that about about replacement. So you see, guys, said Thomas, Miss, we Soda Engine did have some of those kind of things, but they never happened. As if you guys are now on Soda, James would never do a thing like that. What if, like, James replaced Shane? That never happened. But Shane was alright when you two wanted to work with James. James. Besides, Shane would never replace you two if you two haven't moved to Cloven's Gate. But you are, and Shane doesn't mind, of course. Aubrey and Aiden feel much a little bit better what Thomas was trying to say to them. They knew the stories that Thomas told them. They knew Thomas was right. Later that evening, Thomas arrived back with Aubrey and Aiden from the passenger train. James was also there with the slip coaches. So, James, said Thomas, how did you get on? Very good. The railway board has agreed that the slip coaches can work on my line and work on Sodor. Well done, said Thomas. How did it went with Aubrey and Aiden? Well, said Thomas, Miss, it's a long story. We had a great time, did we? Yes, said Aubrey and Aiden. However, Aubrey and Aiden was still a bit jealous. They did took Tom's advice. However, they told me go see what they want to see what James be like. Thomas was so good that we think we'd like to work on his branch line. Thomas and James were surprised by this. What? They said. Work on my branch line? I got Annie and Crowbell. What about Percy? We could work with him. Are you trying to say you don't want me to be your engine? If you replace Zip... Yes, Zip, you trying to replace us with Zip coaches? We thought it'd be a good idea if you feel. But I just leave us. This put a sad face on James. Well, we don't want to. That's fine. James put Sally to Cloven's Gate Sheds. That taught him a lesson. However, Thomas was so mad at them. Why did you guys said that? Said Thomas crossly. We want to see what James would be like if we tell him that we will work on your line and see how he get replaced. I will never replace my coaches. Aubrey and Aiden didn't feel shocked, but we're so good. I know you are, said Thomas crossly. But I already got coaches. Annie and Crabwell may not be big, but they are useful coaches. And they would never say a thing like that. And I told you two would never say a thing like that. All those things I told you earlier on. Why do you have to say that to James? We just want to see what James would be like. Well, you better apologize to him, said Thomas crossly. Poor James feels hurt now. Now, James, like I said, James would never do a thing like that. He would never replace you two. Aubrey and Aiden feel bad what they did now. They knew Thomas was right. We're sorry, Thomas. We just want to get revenge on James. Well, you must realize that James isn't replacing you two. He does like to pull slip coaches. That's all. I hope you two apologize to him, said Thomas crossly. And Thomas puffed back to the sheds. Aubrey and Aiden had long thinking to do. They think throughout the night until the next morning when Jane was puffing into Cloven's yard to get slip coaches. Well, I guess I should take my slip coaches. James, stop, said Aubrey and Aiden. Look, James, we're sorry, alright, we're sorry. What do you mean, Sir James? The reason why we said that last night because you can tell me anything, said James. Just tell me what's wrong. We were distressed because you got sip coaches and we were going to replace you. James thought for a moment, and then he knew what Aubrey and Aiden mean. They thought they were going to get replaced by the sub coaches. Thomas told us stories about that kind of thing, like him saving the station, or he thought Annie was going to be scrap, or what about Nia and Rebecca coming to Sodor? I understand you two went through a hard time. But Thomas is right. I will never replace you two. We know you really wanted to have sub coaches, James, but we just got so jealous that we thought we were going to be replaced. Like, just take a look at them. They can uncouple that stuff and just leave them at the station. So we thought that we were never going to be used again. However, then James had a smile. The sub coaches may uncouple me, but there is something special that you guys have. What's that? That you don't uncouple, which means I can take the remaining passengers to other stations. What you're trying to say is that we can be coupled to the sub coaches and just take the rest of the passengers? Precisely, said James. This put Aubrey and Aiden a big smile at them. Oh, thank you, James, they said, and we're sorry we told you what we said last night. That's all right, said James. I should have told you in the first place. Aubrey and Aiden, and James were all soon friends again, and for that, Aubrey and Aiden were soon working with James and the sub coaches. And for that James never replaced Aubrey and Aiden with other different coaches, never again.